And action! Welcome to our 2022 movie review, where today Pete and I are going to discuss the best films of the year. And obviously, we've been putting the work this year. We've reviewed many a film, and we're going to give our opinions. And they're going to be unique. I think I know Pete's got a definitely unique perspective on some films, and I know my films are also. My list is pretty unique, but I think it's a solid list, and I'm very confident in my list.
Yeah,
Some people are going to like it, some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it, but I'm okay with that.
this was
So,
this was a tough year. There were so many great films that came out. And not only that, there were so many great not only performances from people that we love and know are going to crush every time, and directors that are going to crush every time, but these up and coming actors and actresses that are really, really kind of turning the tide a little bit on what we can expect in the future. A lot of great talent. And I don't know, I was really excited about this year. I can't wait for this next year. There's going to be a lot of great films, and we'll see what happens. This is going to be great.
yeah, I think you have a lot of different converging forces that happen. I think, this was maybe the first full year of non-COVID or pandemic, really affecting the box office. This was, it started with the Batman in March, right? And we really saw that blockbuster, and even Spider-Man before that, right? We really saw the movie theaters taking off, because even with like the Batman, for instance, that was also like on HBO Max, right? And so you're still seeing some of the dual releasing, and so this was probably the first full year in 3 years, probably, right?
Yeah.
That we've had full theatrical releases. And
You still got a taste. You still got that taste of we're going to release it streaming, but you can also see it in the theaters.
Yeah,
And those movies that they did that you can actually go and see in the theaters. You took advantage of that because they were meant to see in
for
those
sure.
theaters and in those
Like the
seats.
Batman, for
And
sure. Like the Batman
like the
was meant to.
Batman. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I also think too, a lot of these films were put on hold. And so you're seeing them get released. Top Gun Maverick comes to mind. I know they did not want to release that streaming, and they wanted to for sure release that in theaters. And so that was being held off for a couple years. A lot of movies I think fall in that category, or the productions were just delayed. And so I think that's what led to this year being so incredible. It definitely one of the best in recent memories, when it comes to the quantity and quality level. And I also think studios too, Pete. I'd like to hear your opinion on this, but I think you're also seeing the studios
Hmm?
trusting more on the filmmakers themselves and not really trying to put their hands on everything and be so formulaic. I think we saw a lot of stories, passion projects like Babylon with Damien Chazelle, or
Hmm.
Avatar, obviously with James Cameron,
Right.
the Fablemans with Steven Spielberg. You're seeing the studios say, "Hey, you've done good work before. Go make your passion project, and we're
Right.
gonna interfere as less as possible."
Well, I think what we saw was we saw this trend of streaming services basically saying we're going to make everything,
Yeah,
and they started to really put out some great content. And I don't think the studios were quite prepared for that. But then once they saw that there is just some real talent out there, and you don't have to spend a ton of money to tell a great story, which is what we've always been saying, right? It's
yeah,
like if you're going to make a movie, why not just make it a great story at the same time? Now, of course, there's films like, well, no, Violent Night is not a good example because that's a great story. It's just really
yeah,
well done. I mean, but
yeah.
that would have been made, 5 years ago. But there's just this trend that's happening where I think that you're right. I think the studio is starting to really sort of open up to sort of the possibilities. And thank God. I mean, there were
Yeah.
so many movies. I mean, we're going to go down this list, and it's crazy how many great movies there. The movies that were on, like, we did a top five like 6 months ago or whatever it was.
It's
I think the
almost
majority of those films aren't even on my top 10 at this point because there's just been so many great ones.
okay. So what we'll do, Pete, we'll go down our list. We'll each say our number 10, number 9, number 8, and we'll go back and forth
Etc.
and talk a little bit about each movie. So
Right.
With that, Pete, why don't you go ahead and start us off with your number 10 film of 2022?
Yeah, this was difficult. There were so many. I mean, like we always do top fives, and then number five is always sort of reserved for that kind of movie that wouldn't be on a lot of people's lists, but it's really good at the same time. But it's kind
Yeah.
of personal favorite
It's
of
your
mine.
wild card, it's your X
Yeah,
factor.
it's almost like a wild card, exactly. So my number 10, even though there's a ton of great movies from this last year, I put Hustle
Wow, that was
with
your 10.
Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
And this movie just it not only showed Adam Sandler in an incredible dramatic performance, but still had a little bit of comedy. But it was a movie that just came out. It was a streaming film.
On
Um,
Netflix.
and it basically took all of these amazing athletes and threw them into a movie at the same time. And they were all really great actors at the same time.
Kenny Smith
And
stands out in my head.
yeah, Kenny Smith was great. And this kid that played what was his name? The basketball player's name.
And he's
Oh, come
on
on.
the Knicks. Gua.
No, Juancho Hernan
Yeah,
Gomez is his name. But what
Hernan
was his name in
Gomez.
the film?
Oh, I don't remember what the name
Yeah, I
is.
don't remember. Anyways, he was great. And he looked the part. He played the part.
Yeah.
Because it's
He was
very
the Ray Allen
difficult.
of He Got Game. You know what I mean? Like same.
It's very difficult to be a in an athletic movie, like a sports, like a professional sports movie, and be able to pull it off and be able to have it appear like it's the actual sport itself. And I thought that this movie on every level just came through, and I thought it was incredible. So that's my number 10.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, spoiler, I had that a little bit higher than you.
A little bit
So
higher.
I had that
Okay.
higher than you.
I can't argue.
Like we talked about earlier, I mean, I think it's one of the greatest sports films of all time. And so I kept that
Mhm.
and I kept and I think Adam Sandler, is still a best actor nominee. And so I'm keeping that in mind too. Like I think I don't know if the Oscars are gonna give this film that kind of love only because it was released in May ish. I
Well,
don't
if the
remember
Golden
exactly,
Globes
but
told us anything,
maybe April.
then
But
I don't know.
yeah, but I still think I need to watch it again actually. But I'm going off of my initial of how much I enjoyed it and where I put it in the sports list and stuff like that. And
Right.
so I didn't want to diss it too much. So yeah, I have it higher on my list. But my number 10, and this is one of your favorite films of the year, Pete, for sure. But it was the greatest beer run ever.
Oh,
And that's on Apple TV Plus hyphen, if you haven't seen it yet. But Zac Efron, Peter Farrelly, I believe, directed it. And it's just a fantastic film. And if you haven't seen it
really
yet,
good.
I think it's probably even better the second time. And I want to watch that again. I've been trying to catch up with so much with the holidays and all that. But yeah, I just think it's a fantastic film. And I think that movie is gonna be even better the more you watch it. But it's really just a great story of friendship and loyalty, and it's just got so much heart, and it's still got a little bit of action too. But it's again based on a true story, which I think makes it even better of an actual film. But it's just
I,
again, I think it's a
I love that
excellent,
you put
excellent film.
that I love that you put that on my list, and it really hurt my heart not to put it on there because I was
That
a
was your
big
number
advocate.
five, I think, when we last did the list.
Yeah, I was such a big advocate early in the year about that film because it was the weirdest premise. It was the dumbest premise for a film, and yet it was the one of the better
Well,
films
it's
that
not
I've
one of the
seen.
dumbest because it's real. It actually happened.
Yeah, I know, but if you walked into a studio and said, "Okay, a
Right.
guy
If it wasn't a real
during the
story, it'd be
Vietnam
stupid.
War
Yeah.
wants to like go to Vietnam and give beer to all his friends," they would probably tell you to get right out of there, right?
Yeah, for sure.
In terms of like a log line, right? It's just not how would you even sell that film? But meanwhile, is one of the best that I've seen this year. So wow, I'm so happy that you put that at 10 because I was so sad that I didn't.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, then we'll do Snake. So then now I'll
Yeah,
do
so
my
you
number
go
nine.
9.
I'll do my number nine, and this one's gonna be I think this is probably my most controversial pick because
Mm,
I may not have included it if it wasn't so personal for me.
Hmm.
But the film is The Fablemans. And I know a
Nine?
lot of people aren't necessarily fans of this, but again, this film was super personal to me because I related so much to it. And I've been called a little Steven Spielberg. You know what I mean? And so I
I've
don't
been
know who
called a
said
little
that.
Brad
I don't know who
Pitt,
said
so
it.
I totally
But
understand.
no, again, I don't think it's a perfect film. But I do think it's a very personal film. And I think, again, with the last scene in the film, and I'm not gonna. I know it's still new and in theater, so I'm not gonna spoil the ending. But the end scene was maybe one of my favorite things. And honestly, like I even heard an interview with Steven Spielberg, and that scene actually happened, and that scene, like that would be the equivalent to me meeting Steven Spielberg, and I can imagine the impact that would have. And so like I thought it was just such a perfect ending to the film. And again, this is just more, I think, my own personal story,
Hmm.
where I just relate to it. But I loved watching how he put together these smaller films, like just him chasing that. And I can't tell you how much the film makes me happy, because again, it's what I live every day. It's what I breathe. It's what I want. And so this film just reaches a different level for me. And
Yeah.
so again, I know most people aren't going to be big fans of this film. I'm okay with that, but that's why it's my number 9. But again, there's not maybe a more film that besides another one, but this film just hit my heart so hard. So
No, I love that you have it in your top 10. It's in my top 10 too. I won't spoil it for our list, but
okay,
I love that. But that's the thing about films and going and experiencing these amazing stories is that the ones that really have the impact are the ones that really sort of stick with you. And the Fablemans will stick with me until the day I die.
for sure.
And let everyone think what they want about where it's on my list.
Yeah.
Number 9 for me is a film that was in my top 5 early in the year, and I couldn't not have it on my list. Even though I feel like there's so many other great ones that came out afterwards, but I need to give it amazing props, which is Nope, the Jordan Peele film.
Okay.
It was just an incredible way to tell a UFO story and
Yeah.
to really encapsulate um, so many different things. I mean, this is one of the more layered films
Are
of
you the
this.
one that said that what it stands for?
Depends. What are you
You know
saying?
you know what it stands for, right?
Say
Nope.
it.
Not on planet Earth.
Oh, no, I didn't say
Yeah.
that.
Well, it goes to your point. Like the movie has so many layers to it,
It's so
and
many layers. It's
so they
one of the
say
more layered films I've seen this
yeah,
year.
obviously they say it in the movie, like, hey, go over there, and they're like, nope, and
Nope.
it's
Nope.
it is a Black culture thing too. Like, it's very popular in Black culture to, like, if someone tells you to do something and it's like,
Nope.
nope,
Mm-mm.
like,
Mm-mm.
so it's just such a brilliant title. But it actually stands for Not on Planet Earth. And so again,
Interesting.
just the brilliance of Jordan Peele.
He's
It's just such a
he,
well-crafted film. Probably it might even be the best crafted film, if that makes sense. Like,
it's true.
somebody that's literally using all the tricks of the trade, so many metaphors, so many, like, it might be the best crafted film. uh
Yeah.
I think the ending, unfortunately, it is what it is, but I don't think you can end it any other way. It's just sometimes the story is better than the ending, if that makes sense, whereas
Yeah,
sometimes the ending
I for
is.
one loved the ending. I loved this movie from
I thought
start
it
to
was okay.
finish.
Like, I didn't hate the ending.
Um,
I
because
think the
how
middle
are
of
you going
it's
to
better
end a
than the
film
ending.
like that,
Yeah,
right? So that's my number 9. It needs recognition. It needs to be in the conversation of 2022 and the best films of the year. Nope is one of the best films of this year.
I
It's
agree.
unfortunate that it was only number 9 on my list, but
I think I saw it 3 times, by the way. That was also what I factored in. Like, did I want to go see this movie again
mm-hmm,
fast? And
mm-hmm.
um The Fablemans, I've been wanting to see it again. I just haven't had a chance. I actually might even buy it. Check your Amazon account, Pete. We may
Just let me know when you do, and I'll watch it again.
yeah. But nope, I've seen already 3 times, if not 4.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, and the performances are great. And every
Yeah.
time you watch it, you can see like another little nugget that
Another
I
layer,
didn't
yeah, for
see
sure.
that before.
All right, what do you have for number 8?
Number 8, I mean, it pains me to say because I've been screaming about being anti this film all
You're going
year.
Avatar,
I'm going Avatar, The Way of
huh?
Water.
Get the
Because
hell out of here. The
you know
fuck
I
out of here.
dude, I enjoyed it.
Number 8,
I had a great time in this film, and
you're a sellout.
you can't no, I'm just saying, but you can't discount the fact that it was a visually just a
Visually,
stunning,
it is
stunning
crazy,
movie.
crazy.
And it crushed worldwide. I mean, this movie just it passed Top Gun, I believe. No,
No, no,
dude, I think it did.
no,
Good, check it out.
not yet.
It did.
It's only
Now,
like at 600, I think.
no, this passed a billion.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
was
but
at 1.3 billion last time I saw.
Top Gun's over 1 billion.
Mm, let's we can look at it, but okay. So the thing that I was most concerned about,
Oh crap.
yeah, talk to me.
Okay, no, so it has not beaten them domestic worldwide. It's at just under 600,000. So Top Gun's over 7, I believe.
Okay, so Top
Worldwide,
Gun's still
the
number one.
worldwide gross is almost 2 billion.
Whew.
So yeah,
They needed
it's a
he needed to make like 1.5 or something like that just to break
no, no,
even.
no. There's a $350 million budget. He needed to make a 500,000 to break even
Mm, I
because
don't
there's
know
like
if that's
150
true.
at marketing. Again,
Regardless,
unless they're fudging their numbers, but if its budget is 350, which is a crazy amount, by the way. If the budget's 350, your marketing is 25%. It's a little higher on this one. I think it's 35%. So it's
I would
about
argue.
150.
However, I would argue that there's no way after how many years that it took to produce this film that he only spent $350 million on this film. There's no way. It's
That's
impossible.
one of the highest grossing or highest budgets of all time.
12 years?
That actually might be the highest budget of all time.
I don't know.
I
It
don't
just
remember if
seems
it's
it seems
350.
low to me.
Uh,
Regardless, the thing I
Either way,
was looking
it's
for,
making money. It's going to make you $1 billion. Let's just say it
yeah,
cost you $1 billion. It just made another $1 billion, so you made 1 billion.
yeah, you just doubled it up.
Yeah. So I mean, that's great as a filmmaker.
Sure. So I was really looking. I came into this film not only pissed off because I was tired of seeing advertisements for it, but I really did go into it
By the
with an
way,
open
see
mind.
all of our other episodes if you want to see Pete pissed off about this movie.
Every 2 seconds, like really, I was angry about it. But I really wanted to find out if I am I going to care about the movies that I know are going to come out in the future, all
Yeah.
these new characters that they're going to put into this film. And I found myself, attached to the characters. I wanted to know what's going to happen next with those people, and I enjoyed the film a lot. It didn't let me down at all.
Well, the
So
length
yeah,
let me down a little bit.
what's that?
The length let me down a little bit. Like that's my only problem. Like that's why I haven't seen it again. So I do want to watch it again. It's just like 3 hours and 12 minutes. Like, are you kidding me? Like I don't know. It's just a
Yeah,
lot of investment. And a little update. So Top Gun did 718 in the US domestic. So it's got 100 million to beat Top Gun, and then worldwide Top Gun did just under 1.5 billion. So yes, it already beat Top Gun worldwide, which is insane because it's only been out for like 3 weeks.
yeah, it's crazy. Meanwhile, it wasn't bad. It was a good film, and
Yeah,
I couldn't not put it on the list because of just that sort of
sure,
impact that it
sure.
had on the market.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm glad somebody included it
And
because
I was the
spoiler,
first one
it's
to
not on my
say
list.
I was the first one to say, fuck off
Yeah,
Avatar. I can't stand it, but I got
yeah,
to give it props. I was interested, and I'm gonna go see the third one.
yeah, for sure. I'll say the third one.
What do you want
Okay,
me to do?
so my number 8 was your number 9, which is Nope.
Hmm?
And we already talked about it, so we don't need to talk much. So my number 7 is, and again, I think this is probably a bit of a shocker as well. Not as big of a shocker as The Fablemans, I think, but this movie has not done well in the box office. But again, it's just a movie I completely relate to and love, and I just love what the movie's about, and it's Babylon. And I
Mm,
just love Damien Chazelle as a director. I think he's just got a style that, on the one hand, Avatar was a 3 hour movie. It felt like a 3 hour movie. Not totally. It was not poorly paced, but it still felt 3 hours. Babylon did not feel like a 3 hour movie.
right.
Now, with that being said, I do think a little bit could have been cut from it, but overall, I thought it was paced very, very well, and it moves very well, and just the style of it. Again, I love the topic of the transition of silent stars to talking
Sound. Yeah.
talkies, whatever you want to call it. And
Sound.
I've studied this subject tons in film school, even on my own accord. And I've always wanted to even do a film like this. So I'm glad someone did it. I think he did a great job execution wise. Acting is fantastic in this. Brad Pitt. I wouldn't mind if he got a Best Actor award for it too. Um, and I just absolutely love this film. And based off of a couple real people, the beginning Arbuckle, Fatty Arbuckle was a real comedian who had a prostitute died in his thing, and that's the beginning of the film. Margot Robbie's character is based off of Clara Bow, who was a
Mm,
silent star that struggled to transition. I forget who Brad Pitt's character is. I never actually heard of the guy, but it
right.
was a similar thing where he was a big silent star, and then he sounded fine, so he didn't his voice was okay, but he kind of got blackballed by the studios and never became a star
Wow.
in the talking pictures. So,
I
but
don't know much about the film. That's interesting.
the Latin character was based off a couple different guys uh,
Hmm.
of who I never heard of. But again, I just love the story. Again, how it's built. It's based off of real stories, and again, I thought it was just a well crafted film. So, Pete,
That
what
was
is
your
your
number
number seven?
7?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm halfway through that film, and because I'm a huge fan of Damien and my buddy Damien.
Yeah.
Whiplash is, if not number one or number two, it's interchangeable between Dead Poets and Whiplash, as my favorite movies of all time. So I'm loving this film so far. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you put that on the list, because I can't put it on my list yet because I haven't seen it all the way through, but
Well,
I know I'm gonna love
reminder,
it.
Pete, it is 2023 already. So
I know.
when you're
Listen,
reviewing films of 2022, you kind of want to watch them.
sure.
Just a
There's a
little
lot going
pro tip,
on.
from me to you for next year's
A lot going
podcast.
on. A lot happened, you know.
Yeah,
So
a lot
how
happened.
about how about you get off of my back about it? My number 7 is a film that I didn't see when it first came out. I only saw it recently, like in the past couple of weeks, and it has jumped to my number 7, and that's The Outfit.
Wow.
Um,
That's a very good film. Very good film. Didn't make
very
mine.
good.
It's good.
I love the fact that, it's very difficult to have like almost like a play sort of vibe
Yeah.
translate to film. Have it just be in one setting. But I thought that Mark Rylance as this tailor or
Okay.
cutter,
That's on
he's a
Peacock,
cutter.
people, if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's on Peacock. It's on the cock.
It's on the Cock Network.
So if you want to get on the cock too, you just head right over. Um, I just really just was enthralled through this entire film, and I thought his performance deserves a lot of recognition. And I thought that the fact that they just kept this film in this one spot, which is really hard to pull off, it deserves a lot of recognition. Number 7, Outfit. Go see it on the cock.
Nice. And then number 6. Oh wait, did you already do 2? No, no, it's
No, yeah, number 6 for me. And maybe a lot of people just didn't like this film and would never put it this high. I'm going the Batman on this one. I watched it again recently, and
I love that film, by the way.
it's so good. Like
Yeah.
what they did, like okay, it's a mystery from start to finish, but I mean, it's always dark, just like the other Batmans. But I thought Robert Pattinson did a great job. He didn't do too much, but he wasn't over the top. He did just enough to kind of keep
Yeah.
that sort of Batman thing alive. I mean, the highlight for me for this film is my favorite actor of the year Colin Farrell
Yeah,
as the Penguin. I mean, I didn't even know it was him until almost a month after I saw the film. Like I
he
had
was,
zero idea that it was Colin Farrell.
yeah, he was excellent.
But then we saw Paul Dano as the Riddler,
Yeah,
who we
excellent.
see in other um, films this year, really kind of excelling
He was
his
in what
acting.
the
He's the Fablemans. He's the dad in the
Oh, that's right,
Fablemans.
Fablemans. Yeah, yeah.
And then you saw Barry
Keegan.
Keegan. Barry Keegan has a 3-second part in this film, but we also see him in another great film, The Banshees.
Banshees.
He's another one of these young up and coming actors that I feel you're
Barry
going to
Keegan's
really
Ready Player
really
One,
see a
right?
lot of. What's that?
Barry Keegan's Ready Player One.
Ready Player One. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, the only negative to this film is Andy Serkis, and I'm very anti Andy Serkis outside of a motion capture studio. Alfred was always a sophisticated sort of character, and I just didn't think that he really pulled off that character. But
I
despite
don't disagree with that. I actually I like Andy Serkis.
mm,
Um,
despite Andy Serkis, this was a great film.
I think it just yeah. I mean, I don't think I wouldn't say anything negative. Like I don't think it was terrible. I
No, he
think
wasn't
again,
terrible, but
I think you were dealing with that character Alfred. You just have a lot to live up to, right? And so sometimes that's a difficult task. Like Jared Leto having to be the Joker after Heath Ledger, right? I think sometimes like you're
that's
just in
tough.
position to lose.
Hey, he
And
just came after Michael Caine.
yeah, and you have Michael Caine, you have even Jeremy Irons, who was a good Alfred, and
Even
who
the
was
Alfred with Michael Keaton, you don't know who
the
he is, but
original. Yeah,
he had a sophistication to him.
yeah, I agree. Andy Serkis, I did not like.
I saw Mr. Wayne. You know,
I
there
think
was
it was
just like
written.
this.
I think it was written poorly too. I
mm,
didn't like how it was written either. So I'm not putting all the blame on him, but
I don't put. He did what he could. He did what he could.
yeah,
I just don't think.
I actually I think it's just written poorly, to be honest.
I don't think that he was the right person for the role.
Correct.
However,
Yeah.
this is number 6 on my list, the Batman, and I just watched it the other night, um, and I just loved it even more.
Yeah, for sure. I actually have it higher on my list, so I'm going
Hmm.
to talk a little bit more about it when I get higher, just
Yeah,
because there's
go
I
for
do
it.
want to highlight some of the things why it's higher on my list.
Sure.
But I'm going to talk about my number 6 film, and I'm not going to lie, Pete. I'm happy I have this on my list. It makes me feel like I'm a sophisticated film watcher. This is a foreign film,
Hmm.
and this is a foreign film on a streaming service, and so this takes effort.
Can I guess?
You can guess.
All Quiet on the Western Front.
Absolutely. I was blown away on
So
this
good.
film. I think this is one of the best war films of all time. The
It was
camera work
really well
on this
done.
film is so good. Again, this film is already behind the eight ball because it's subtitles. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not afraid to say it. Like, I struggle with subtitled films,
Yeah.
but I thought this was one of the best paced foreign films I've ever seen. The action, the drama, like this was just. I mean, and I've read the original book too. I just thought this film executed on so many different levels,
Yeah.
and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was worried that I wouldn't, but it was so good for me.
Well, it didn't have a lot of buzz behind it, but I remember when it came out on Netflix, and I remember watching it, and I remember after about 20 minutes or so, I'm like, okay, I'm all in on
Yeah,
this movie, and I'm gonna keep going. And I wasn't disappointed at all.
yeah,
That's a great pick. It was on my list of best movies of the year. It just didn't crack my top 10,
yeah,
unfortunately, even though it certainly deserves it.
yeah. I think if it doesn't win best foreign film, I don't know what we're doing, but it should be. I think it should be best picture. I mean, I think every film obviously I put on my list this should be a best picture nominee because they usually do 10 now. But yeah, I definitely think it should be a best picture nominee. So
Okay.
my number 5 was your latter ones, and it's
Mm-hmm.
Hustle.
Awesome.
Um,
Wow. 5.
so I put
Interesting.
it top 5 again because Pete, I think I do think this film stands up in history in terms
Yeah.
of, again, I think it's one of the best sports films. I think Adam Sandler should be nominated for best actor. Uh,
Agree.
and yeah, this stands up with so many sports films because it's real. Like the
Yeah.
basketball is real. It's not acting. It's like it's a realistic film, and I thought the story was just really good, really good. And
Yeah.
yeah, like I want to watch this movie again. This movie holds up for me, so that's
You're
my
not wrong. Hustle was great. I
yeah.
mean, that's why I had to put it at least in my top 10. But I mean, I have so many. I mean, my top 30 could be in my top 10. I'll be
Yeah.
honest. That's how many great films there were this year. Well, maybe top 20.
Yeah.
My number five is a film that is getting zero love from award shows and
I know you're number five.
at least so far, and it's
Can I say it?
Till. It's Till.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's still. Yeah.
Oh, it's Till. I
Only
mean, this,
because in your other podcast, that's how you always preface the film. Like, this is getting no love.
but Till, no, I was screaming about
I
this
have Till higher,
film.
by the way. I have Till higher. Spoiler
I
alert.
was screaming about Danielle Deadweiler, who is just phenomenal.
Is that the
She is the absolute best actress of this year. Um, there's no reason. I mean, I get Michelle Yeoh winning for everything
No,
everywhere at once.
I would give it to her, not Michelle
Michelle
Yeoh.
Yeoh,
No, Michelle Yeoh should get nominated, but I think the other
yeah.
girl.
No, but I understand why they gave her the Golden Globe, like because she really did an amazing job on that film. But I mean, what Danielle Deadweiler did in this film is something that I couldn't even
It's
dream.
unfathomable.
I couldn't even put myself in that scenario to even feel those
Yeah,
emotions, and yet she captured it.
yeah.
And not just
Can't believe
her,
it at all.
not
Like,
just her, the rest of that cast was heartfelt, crushing. The aunt, the woman that played the aunt, made me cry. The way that she just responded to the tragedy,
that was
and
amazing scene.
even Jalen Hall, who plays Till,
Yeah,
even
he's
his happiness of life. It was a phenomenal film, and it's not getting any love.
yeah.
And shame on all these studios, or not studios, but shame on all these award ceremonies for
Well,
not
we haven't
even
had the
mentioning.
Oscars yet. So Golden Globes are, you remember this is a very American story, and sometimes those don't play out very well
Yeah,
in Golden Globes. So you can't
let's
you
hope.
react.
I
We-
hope.
We're about to go
Till,
through, yeah, we're about to go through the actual
phenomenal.
award season,
Yeah,
and we'll find out. Golden Globes are not necessarily a barometer of,
this movie needs to be on everybody's list.
yeah, for
Everyone
sure.
needs to see this film.
And again, mainly for the historical significance. This is
Sure.
one of the
For the
best
content,
historical
absolutely, but
civil
the
rights era films.
performances.
Yeah. Very, very important. Okay.
Number four for me is a movie that is getting a lot of love, and it rightfully so. And it stars the best actor of the year, as far as I'm concerned, Colin Farrell, and that's the Banshees of Inisherin.
That's your
Um,
fourth film?
that's number four.
Get out of here, dude.
No, it's number four. I
No
I
way.
watched it.
Have you watched it more than once?
No, I didn't need to. I watched it one time, and I fell in love with the script. I fell in love with
You
the
put that ahead of
acting.
Hustle? That was like
Yes,
your favorite film.
this Hustle was great, but then the Banshees came out. Banshees is an incredible film.
I think it's okay. I think it's
Ah,
solid.
it's so good. Ah, man, it's so good. It's one
I
of
need a
those
subtitle.
films.
I'll probably like the film better when I watch it with subtitles, but
I had subtitles on when I watched it,
oh, okay. Yeah,
which helped.
I think I'll like it better if I have subtitles, but
It helped to understand a lot more about the
I
story itself,
understand
but
half the stuff they said.
the way it was written and the way that they performed what was written, the banter between these two best friends, quote unquote best friends, and
Yeah.
how this film just sort of transitions, and then it just goes horribly wrong, and it's a really
No,
great
I
film.
love the story. Obviously, I'm the one that told you to go see it, so I'm a fan
Sure,
of the movie. I'm just
sure.
really surprised it's this high on your
It touched
over
me,
Greatest
and
Beer Run. You loved Greatest Beer Run too.
I did, and I still do. It's a great film.
I still
I
do.
thought that I thought that this film was great, and I can't not have Colin Farrell movies on my not on my top 10 list, because I'm telling you, Colin Farrell's he's coming back in a
Oh, I
big
agree.
way.
He's already back.
This
If you
guy
think
is
he's still coming
incredible.
back, Pete, you already missed it. He's already back.
Okay, but I mean, what he did in the Batman, great. didn't even know it was him. And then he does this film, and then he did something else. What else did he do?
I did something last year. I forget.
He did something else. Oh, no, he did 13 Lives,
Oh, right, right, right. Yeah, it was great.
which should be on my top 10 list because it's a phenomenal film.
That actually might have been my 11 or 12. I mean, it was
Yeah,
right there.
that's probably my 11 or 12 as well. But I mean, Colin
I
Farrell,
think I
but
would have liked that movie better if I saw it in theaters.
each
I think
role is
that's a movie that
different.
I think that movie did not benefit being on streaming.
No,
I would have
that
liked
that
it.
was a that was a theatrical movie. Banshees of Inisherin is one of the best films I've seen all year.
Nice.
And there you go.
Well, my number four, you already talked about. I'm gonna talk a little bit more why I think it's number four. You had a little bit lower, but I had the Batman, and the
Mm.
reason why I have it this high is I've watched it, I think 5 times already. And again, I just love the overall filmmaking aspect of it, the cinematography, the music specifically. Michael Giacchino's score is maybe the best of the year. I'm trying to look.
And to put that Nirvana song like at the very beginning,
Yeah, yeah. I might think it's probably my favorite score of the year. The
mm,
Batman. There's a couple ballads in there that are just it literally gives me chills when I hear it, like doom doom doom. And then the trailer, the one of the songs was played in the trailer, like, doom, doom, like
yeah,
it's so
it's
freaking good,
real good.
and that's why it's so high on my list is because again, like they brought five. This is a 5 tool film. The acting. My only issue with the film was the length, and
I
I
didn't
didn't like
mind the
Robert
length.
Pattinson's Bruce Wayne.
Mm.
He's just a little too emo-y for me, but I loved him as Batman. So I never
But
would have thought
but
that.
he was barely Bruce Wayne in that
Right,
giant
right, right.
three
It's
hour
just I didn't like
film.
the hair. He
Yeah,
just he
no, I
just
get that.
he just seemed like kind of moody, like a little too moody for me. Like, oh my life,
Yeah,
well, like, and
I
it's
know,
just
but he
like
was hardly Bruce Wayne, so I can't really
awesome.
think you can hold him accountable for
No,
that.
no, no, I don't. Again, these are little nitpicky things.
Yeah,
But I thought he crushed it as Batman. Like when he was wearing the Batman suit, I thought his voice, his look, even like he crushed it. So
yeah.
again, to me, that's a better compliment. I'd rather crush the Batman part than Bruce Wayne.
He
I
wasn't
even think
over
he
the
was better than
top as
Christian Bale
Batman,
as Batman.
right?
That means like I like Christian Bale better as Bruce Wayne. I
Yes.
I thought maybe Michael Keaton's probably my favorite
Mm,
actual Batman, like in the Batman suit. This is probably number two for me.
he might be number one only because he's not putting on a voice when he's Batman. It's a little bit,
Well,
but
he's
it's not
British, of course, you
much.
put on a voice.
But it's a little bit. It's not Christian Bale where
Yeah,
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. No,
I'm
I'm Batman.
motherfucking Batman. You know what I mean? But
Seth Rogen figures.
Even Michael Keaton does the I'm Batman. You know what I mean? That
Yeah,
he's like he goes into a voice.
yeah.
Pattinson doesn't really go into a noticeable voice like that he's trying to do. It's still
All right,
quite
that's fair.
natural.
That's fair. That's fair.
Um,
So yeah, so
yeah.
that's my number four. My number three, I think you already had this too, is the movie that you're thinking is not getting enough love, and it's Till. And Pete,
Mm,
I'm putting my money where my mouth is. That's why it's number three. And again, I think when you're talking about one of the more powerful films, this
so
actually,
powerful.
if you look at the rest of my list, this is probably the most powerful film of the year. And still entertaining too. I think again, it's just such a well-crafted film. The music is good. The acting is insane in this film.
It's
And again,
incredible.
I just love, I just love when we're able to talk about stories we're not necessarily taught in school, and we bring these kind of stories to light, and they stay true to the story. And I think they did that in this. It's just a great overall film experience,
Mm.
and I felt it. I watched this, I believe, 2 or 3 times, which is part of the reason why it's high on my list. And just a big fan of this film.
It's
And I think this
really,
movie's going to hold up and be one of the better films of this decade too.
I mean, it's tough. It's always tough when you never have an important film also be such an amazingly well crafted and performed film. It's everything. It's
Yeah,
every piece. It's
yeah.
not only like one of the more important films that you could ever see in your life. It's also got the acting. It's also got the music. It's also got every emotion that you can possibly. It is. It's so important. I'm glad you put it at three. Well done.
Look, this is not thought out, and so I'm going to slightly go on a limb here. But this might be the best civil rights era film that I've ever seen.
Hmm.
I definitely liked it better than Selma. Not that I like Selma. I just Selma didn't have the filmmaking craft that this did, and I think this is just a better story.
And
Um,
shame on me for not remembering or even being able to pronounce the director's name, but she just did a phenomenal job.
Absolutely, yeah. Hopefully she gets nominated too, because if
I
not
hope
win,
so.
if she wins, I think she deserves it. I would not
Mhm.
be upset if she won.
Yeah, and she beat Steven Spielberg.
I don't think Steven Spielberg's going to win.
Well, he's a Golden Globe winner, Paul, this year.
I don't even know the Golden Globe results. I haven't even watched them yet.
He won Best Director for
Oh
The
shit.
Fablemans this year. Incredible.
Well, again, I think when you're talking global, again, Golden Globes are the foreign Hollywood foreign press.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg is that guy, and this is his personal film, and so yeah, that's kind of to me an
Yeah.
easy selection. Uh,
Hmm.
I don't think he's the best director of the year, but
I don't either,
and I
but
love him, by the way. This guy's my hero.
can't you can't argue with it. I
I
mean,
can't argue. No, I'm not gonna argue with it. I'm just saying, yeah, yeah. This is not like it's not an atrocity that he won.
right.
The film is
Oh,
very well
Steven
directed.
Spielberg.
Yeah, yeah, no, the film was very
Dare
well
they?
directed. Um,
How dare they?
my only point is, uh, I just think there could be other people that might deserve it a little bit more, but he's still deserving though.
She just really did phenomenal.
By the way, Fibbles is my
Um,
number 9 film, so again, I'm not talking trash on the film.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, my number three is a
Oh,
movie that
Jordan
just
Peele. I would almost give it to Jordan Peele this year.
you could make that argument.
Yeah.
I said that in one of our earlier podcasts that Jordan Peele is just I mean he just crushed what he did with that Nope film.
Yeah, it's so
It's
deep and layered.
so deep. My number three is a movie that everyone talked about forever, and it took me a while to actually see it. And when I saw it, I was just like, "What did I just see?" Everywhere or everything, everywhere, all at once. I mean, that movie just it was like, how do you write it? First of all, like, how do you write that
How do you
movie?
come up with that idea? Yeah.
It's just not only how do you come up with the idea, but then how do you execute that movie? And then how do you perform that movie on that level with all those different characters and different personalities and personas and just like, oh my God, what a film. And that's my number three.
And for me too, I think what also made it so enjoyable was anybody that knows, I'm not even trying to pronounce his name, but Short Round. Uh,
Kihu Kwan.
yeah. How do you pronounce it?
I think it's Kihu Kwan,
He Who Kwan. Okay. Um,
possibly.
I'm gonna go Short Round.
Short
Um,
Round is
but
better.
Short Round was one of my favorite actors growing up. Like, this may not even make sense, but like, he literally was like one of my heroes growing up. Because for whatever you see, how I kind of have like a little bit of squinty eyes. Like a lot of people thought I was Asian, and so he was an Asian actor, and so like, I don't know, he was just like one of my heroes. And I know that might sound ridiculous, but
A little bit.
I had always just admired him because he was funny and was just so animated, and I just loved him as a child actor.
And he was
And
in two incredible films
yeah, he was
from our
one of my
childhood.
favorite child actors. Yeah. And but then he didn't do anything for like the longest. I mean, he didn't do anything till his film.
Yeah.
He stopped acting after like 1990 and literally took 20, 30 years off.
And you
And
know what he did with this film? Best supporting actor in the Golden Globes.
nice. Oh, he
He
won.
won it. He won
Nice.
it.
Makes me so happy. I probably should have
Boom.
read the Golden Globes before I
You
did this
should have.
podcast.
You
Did
should have.
did a little homework. But
He
yeah, like
won it.
he he was so good in this, and just to, again, you can still see him, see the kid in him,
Hmm.
and perform. And yeah, this movie just made me smile so much. And, it was just so brilliant and unique. Um, this was my number one film, and I honestly, if
Mm.
I had to pick a favorite to win the Oscar, it's still this film.
Mm.
It's not my number one, but this is my favorite,
Yeah.
if that makes sense, to win the Oscar.
To win the Oscar, yeah. It's not my
Yeah,
number one.
not my
My
number
number
one.
three.
Yeah. Yeah, so my number two is your film you just mentioned, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm the one that told you to go see this, and I said this is the best Oscar winner. I don't. This is exactly the type of film that the Academy likes, and I can 100% see them voting this. I mean, it's definitely gonna get nominated for Best Picture. I'd be super surprised if it didn't win it. Even still, as I watched all the movies this year, I still think it's probably the best. I want to watch it again.
I feel in
I've
a
seen
way that this is one of those films that the Academy only would be forced to acknowledge and recognize in a way. Like this movie was so far out there, but because it was so brilliantly done and because it has so much power behind it from fans and everyone
it.
and critics alike.
No, to me, this falls in line with the like Coda. Coda won last year. And have you seen Coda yet, by the way?
No,
Oh, watch Coda. Coda's great. I was worried that Coda was like one of those Shakespeare in Love type
like
of films where it's
artsy
just like,
fartsies.
yeah, no, Coda's actually really entertaining,
Yeah,
really funny.
damn it. I'll
It
add
was
it.
great.
Hold on. Let me add it to my list.
Yeah.
Like I literally have
Uh,
my list right here.
so that's my number two. And my number one, Pete, and I'm not ashamed at this at all. You probably know what it is. The fans probably know what it is. But there's only one film that really fucking rocked movies this year. And it's the one and only Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise, I hear other actors talk about Tom Cruise, and they're just like, yeah, that's a star. He is a star. And part of the reason why he's a star is he doesn't fake anything.
Right.
And when you watch this film, there's just never been a film made like this. Like even the original Top Gun was just not executed to this level. And I love the original Top Gun,
Yeah.
but Joseph Kosinski,
That was a staple in our life.
yeah, and Joseph Kosinski, the story, first of all, is fantastic. Um, and again, this is one of the best action films you'll ever see in your life. But the story is good, and
Mhm.
the character development is very good in this. And it helps that the fact that it's 30 years after, because when you talk about screenwriting, all your ghosts are already built in. Your history, like all of these deep character things are built into the story, and so you don't have to spend a lot of time on it. You already know about it,
Yeah.
and they did a good job of touching on that, but not harping on it. And then again, just the story itself, like how I mean, one of the hardest things to do is to make a movie 30 years later from a super successful film and then actually make it better. And there's not too many cases in history where the sequel is actually better than the original. And I mean, there's cases, don't get me wrong, but
I don't think there's ever been a sequel that far from the original before to actually be better. Can you name
no,
one?
no, 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 no. In that scenario, yes, it's by far the only one. And then again, like how they made the characters so impactful. Um, because like that's one of the things you're wondering is like why Maverick or this, that, and the other. And then as they go through the film, you realize, and Iceman says it, but he's like, dude, you're the only guy for this mission, is because if we did things the way we do it, we're not going to execute this mission. We need somebody like you that's not going to follow the rules, that's going to think outside the box. And we need someone that's going to push themselves beyond what they think they're capable of. And again, I think just as a universal message, this movie is
It
so
spoke to you. Yep.
amazing. Yeah, because again, we need to hear more of that kind of talk. And like Iceman, Val Kilmer did such a great job in his limited screen time with this, but you felt the impact because he struggles. Maverick struggles. Like, dude, is my time up? The whole nine. Like, again, it's just so perfect. And this is Tom Cruise probably his best acting role too. I've heard a lot of credible people, Doug Ellen specifically, talk about how he's never seen Tom Cruise really kind of hit a deeper character like this, and I agree. And Doug Ellen's a excellent character writer.
But
So when you can impress a guy like him, you know,
yeah, but this Maverick character has always been near and dear to Tom Cruise's heart. Like he loves Maverick, and he's
sure.
always, I mean, but he's always passionate about his films. But there's something about Top Gun, and there's something about Maverick that he's all in. And I was the person that came out of this first viewing of this movie, and I was completely wrong.
Go check our
Yeah.
second
Oh,
episode of
yeah.
the
Go
Action
go check it out.
podcast.
I came at it
We
from a
ripped Pete.
really, really close-minded point of view, and it's my number two film of the year. I'll just piggyback off of yours.
Nice.
It's number two on my list.
Oh, maybe we should have. Never mind. Doesn't matter.
No, it's fine. It's
I,
perfect.
I
It
think we
it
should.
works out perfectly.
Yeah, it works out.
Um, yeah, a bit. I saw it a second time, and then I saw it a third time because I'm like, why is everybody continuously talking about this film? And
And seen it in theaters, by the way.
yes, so the second time I saw it was in the theaters again. The third time I saw it was on streaming. And each time I watch it, it's just like I have this huge appreciation, like you're talking about this film and about not only the performances, but the way that things were executed. And it really holds true to that old Top Gun. The reason why Top Gun was so amazing was that it wasn't CGI. It was like real
Yeah.
stuff happening. And you still felt like you were in this real world, and these things were happening in real time right in front of
Yeah.
your eyes. A fantastic film. um I wasn't a fan originally of Jennifer Connelly. I love the Penny Benjamin,
Yeah.
callback. But I like her more and more every time I see it. I love this new breed of naval aviators that we're going to
Yeah.
see moving forward. What's the kid's name?
Glenn
Who's in
Powell.
Devotion?
Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell. He's
Yeah.
going to be he's going to be pushed
Yeah, I like.
forward in a heavy way.
And you know what's so great about his character? And I said this in the original podcast, but check episode 2 of us. You guys haven't seen it. But what I liked about his character is he's supposed to be quote unquote kind of like the villain, the
Supposed to be
antagonist.
like the Iceman.
Yeah, he's supposed to be an antagonist in this movie. But what again, where the writing is so strong in this is he's actually right. And Miles Teller is wrong. And he kind of calls everybody out. He's like, everybody, you guys keep doing what you're doing. You need to fly like Maverick in order to execute this mission. Maverick
Mm.
is actually the only guy that can actually execute this mission. Because everyone's calling out like, "Oh, you're reckless," blah blah blah, and he's like, "We got to fly like Maverick. Like he's the only person that can actually do this mission." And again, it just
Spoiler, he saves the
talking
day.
about the weaving, yeah. But if you're talking about the weaving of storylines, like it's so perfect. And
Yeah.
that's what I really really just enjoy about this film is even like your enemy understands like how important Maverick is, but they don't just talk about it. Maverick just isn't just some sort of legendary character. Like he shows it. And obviously that's set up in the first scene, but again, like pushing yourself beyond what you think is possible. And they just do it in such the right manner. Like
Yeah.
it's just such a brilliant
It's
film.
it's a very layered film.
Yeah.
It's not just an action film. It's not just a sequel. It's not just whatever you want to call it. I mean, there's so many we can talk about this
It's
film
Tom Cruise's best film. I
ad
mean, I
nauseum.
think it's hands down.
100%.
Yeah.
Uh
I might want
which
to watch it tonight. You got me that inspired.
maybe I might watch my number one film again tonight.
Dude,
And
yeah. Oh, hold on.
you don't even know what my number one film is.
I don't think it's anything on my list,
Really?
right? Have I not mentioned it?
I don't know, Paul, have you?
That's what I'm asking you, dude.
Yeah,
Oh,
you've
I have
mentioned
mentioned
it.
it.
Yeah.
It's not Babylon, is it?
No.
Oh,
My
what's that?
favorite film of this year was The Fablemans.
Oh, you did say that. Holy
Yeah.
crap. No way.
My number one film was The Fablemans. This movie changed.
We watched it
Like,
together, didn't we?
no, we did
Oh,
not.
no, no, Nicole and I watched it together.
Yeah,
Because we
I'm not
watched it in
Nicole.
LA. We watched it right next to your house.
Yeah, I'm not Nicole. I'm
Right.
Peter.
Yeah, definitely not
I'm
as
your brother. Um, I saw this movie. I was by myself, and I was touched through every performance of this film from young Sammy Fableman, um, what's his name, Gabriel LaBelle, Michelle Williams just blew me away. I remember her from like the old Vampire Diaries days, or not Vampire Diaries,
Dawson's Creek.
Dawson's Creek days. Thank you.
I don't want to wait
Same difference.
for our lives to get over.
Paul Dano, who we love in the
Yeah, the parents
Batman,
were.
he's so bizarre in this film, but he's perfect. Even Judd Hirsch, who is a very small character in this film, but he's one of the more powerful supporting roles that I've seen all year long. Um, this movie just made me feel amazing and heartbroken, yet inspired. Um, and I totally agree with the Golden Globes, anyways, because as of this recording, that's the only award show that's kind of happened. He absolutely deserved some recognition for putting his life on screen finally.
Yeah,
He needed some sort of acknowledgement, and I loved that he won. And it also, I think it won Best Picture at the
really.
Golden Globes as well.
Yeah,
So it's getting a lot of love, and I absolutely agree with it. And it's one of the more powerful films that I've seen because, and the reason why I think that this movie just kind of squeaks past all of these other great films that we've seen this year is that
oh, by the way,
each,
Banshees won best musical comedy,
yeah, musical comedy,
and Austin Butler
totally,
won for Elvis.
which is ridiculous.
Yeah,
He shouldn't have won that.
Colin Farrell won for actor.
Yes,
Kate Blanchett in Tar, which we did not mention.
because I never saw it.
You never saw Tar?
Mm-mm.
It just came out on. It's coming out on the cock next week, I think.
You saw it and you didn't give me a lot of hope for it.
No, I think it's a very good film. It's a tough film.
You gave me a skewed thing. Anyways, Fablemans is my favorite movie of the year, and there you go. Best director Steven Spielberg, best picture. How can you go wrong there? But I
All right,
will.
so let's do this, Pete. Exercise since
Yep.
we both have our top tens. What was the one film, one only? Obviously, we'll go through the other lists that we have. But what was the one that you wanted to include in your top 10 you didn't? What was your number 11 essentially?
Um. Damn. Okay. Well,
You can give a high. You can give two. I don't really.
I mean, there's just so many.
Okay.
Um.
Two.
Okay. I'll say two. I'll say two films. One only because I was completely thrown off when I actually saw it and loved it to death, and I thought it was going to be the dumbest shit I ever saw in my life. Violent Night. It was. It
I
was,
love that film. I
it was
really love
one
that
of
film.
the. It was one of the best films I saw
Yeah, it was
all
so good.
year.
I'm gonna watch it. I might watch it on the cock tonight.
He might get on the cock. Who knows? Um, I think the other one that I have to mention and give some love to, and it's crazy that I'm not giving any Black Panther love, which is weird. Um, it's The Survivor with Ben Foster, who is the boxer. It's on HBO Max. He's the boxer that is in Auschwitz, who has to basically fight for his life, and he becomes a professional boxer after the war. It is a powerful movie, and it is an important film.
Yeah,
It's really good. And it's crazy. I didn't even mention like 15 films that were really phenomenal this
for
year.
sure. We'll mention them right now. You know what? I'm gonna go because I have a few I can mention, and I'm just gonna go impact. So I'm gonna go with Thor, Love and Thunder. We
Mm.
saw that together, and we laughed
That was
out.
in my top five
We love
6 months ago.
we laughed out loud so much in that film. And it's probably the funniest film of the year
Funniest film of the
when
year
I,
for
when I actually
sure.
think about it. And that's the only reason why I'm gonna make that the film versus a couple of the other ones that I want to talk about. But
100% agree.
Thor was really funny, and that's what I think. Again, it's tough to make a number four film.
Mm.
We've seen a lot of four films fail, uh, i.e., Indiana Jones. But what made this film so unique and special was it went pure comedy route versus trying to be like this, you know, another action film or another Marvel film. And Marvel has had a bad year for them, even just a bad production year for them because Endgame was so good
Mm.
and so perfect
Mm-hmm.
that it's so hard to pick up the pieces after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, what didn't make our list is Doctor Strange. It did okay in the theaters, but you and I both were like, man, I wanted so much more out of that film, and it just didn't hit that elite level. It was good.
Yeah.
It was better than the first one,
It was
but
fun. It was
but
fun.
but again, there's just so much competition too. It wasn't great. It wasn't better than Spider-Man either, which came out in December. Spider-Man would have been probably number 3 on my list, if it was a 2022 release.
Released a month later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably my third film, maybe two or three.
What's
Uh,
your other one?
the other one is Medieval with Ben Foster.
So good. Ben Foster's the best actor of all
Yeah,
time.
I really love that film. That's almost like a Braveheart type of a film. I
Yeah.
just super, super, super love that film. And then Devotion and 13 Lives, I just think are very, very good crafted films. 13
Two great
Lives, Ron
films.
Howard, who's obviously one of the greatest directors of all time. And again, I think it hurt.
Devotion was phenomenal.
Yeah, 13 Lives, I think got hurt being on streaming. And but it's really just the premise seemed kind of boring, to be honest. And I
Mm.
think that hurt it too. And the marketing I thought was not good as well. But
Hmm.
then when you get into the film, there's so much more suspense and intrigue that is just not really, they don't really talk about it. And so I
And it
think
also got oversaturated in a way because they came out with like a documentary right afterwards, and then they
yeah.
came out with like something else. It was like all over
Well,
the
well,
news,
they
and
did
it
the
just
minor
got
film. They did the minor film like 2 years ago. So you just kind of felt like, oh, it's okay. Like I've seen this film before. Like that was at least my mentality going into it. And then when you realize it's an actually different film and it's very well crafted, Ron
my boy
Howard,
Colin Farrell's there
yeah, it became a
crushing.
very, very good film. Like I want to watch that movie again as well. And then yeah, you just mentioned Devotion. I think the flight
You mentioned
sequences,
Devotion.
if Top Gun didn't come out this year, we're talking about Devotion as the one of the best flying sequences ever, up there with like Pearl Harbor. I mean, those are probably the top 3. Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor, get out of my
No,
face
no,
with that.
no, no. I'm talking flying sequences. So I'm talking Top Gun is probably number 1. Number 2 is maybe Pearl Harbor, and then 3 is Devotion. Or
No,
any.
I put a New Hope with going towards the Death Star as one of the better
Oh no, no, no. I
fighter,
mean, I mean like real, yeah, real
like
flight.
real life.
Yeah,
Fine.
real life flight. I'm not including sci-fi.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, I'm just going to run down a list. I've got a list of like 10 movies right now that we didn't even talk about. And we don't need to talk about. I'm just going to list them as our audience needs to see these films. But there's just been so many. The Northman was
Yeah,
phenomenal. It was really good.
it's a short Shakespeare. By the way, that film inspired Shakespeare's Macbeth for the audience if they don't know that.
Interesting.
Very good,
Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio
solid.
was amazing. I mean,
Yeah,
just visually and what they did with that animation style.
yeah.
I'm in
Stop.
animation, blows so many things out of the water.
Way better than the Tom Hanks Pinocchio one.
Get the fuck out of my face with the Tom Hanks Pinocchio. That doesn't even deserve to be talked about this year.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever was great.
yeah, that was good.
The Menu was phenomenal.
He was good.
Weird.
Mark
The
Mylod was
Al
great.
Yankovic story.
Oh, I like
It was
that one.
a sneaky, amazing movie
Yeah.
because it just it thumbed its nose at the face of biopics.
Yeah,
Like
we talked about that because
it was
check out
so
talk
outrageous,
about that in our episode. I totally forgot.
so
I
outrageous.
think you're watching this movie and you think it's all again, it's a biopic, right? And so you think all this, then all of a sudden, he goes after Pablo Escobar
Yeah,
and
you're like,
so freaking good.
but only little things happen where you're like, I don't know if that's real. Maybe it's real. This is a
Yeah, you start
biopic, so
questioning,
maybe it's
you start
real. But then
questioning reality.
it just gets ridiculous.
And it's so Weird Al. That's what's so perfect about it, is it's so Weird Al.
So weird now. And it's
Yeah.
great. The Black Phone, go see it if you
Yeah.
haven't already. The Woman King, go see it if you
Oh,
haven't.
solid. Yeah.
Vengeance, very sneaky.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about movie was very good. Ashton, or not Ashton Kutcher. Although he's very good in it. You get an appearance from John Mayer in that movie, which is really good.
Yeah.
Turning Red, which feels like it's been out for like 10 years, but it just came out this year, is a great animated film. Um, She Said was a great investigative journalist film. Go and see that, and then go see Glass Onion if you love those mystery murder movies. And
I
this is
haven't
part
finished that
two
movie
of
yet.
the Knives Out series.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's my list.
That's excellent. Well, yeah, this was fun, man. I'm glad we did this. Glad we're back on the podcast.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
If you've made it to the end of this episode and you want to see a weird, just a mess with your mind sort of horror film, there's a movie called Skinamarink. It's it's the most bizarre shit I've ever seen in my life. But if you watch it, I think the budget was $15,000,
Oh, geez.
$15,000 budgeted movie, and yet I was like, I'm horrified. I don't want to go to bed tonight because I'm thinking about it. I'm just gonna say that Skinamarink.
All right, maybe I'll check that out. We'll see. Yeah. Well, look again. This was super fun. Glad we did this. We'll be
Welcome
back,
back, Paul.
guys. Make sure you check out every new release film that comes out. We'll be reviewing them as well as old classics. We'll be back with the guys and the women. All your favorite guests that we have. We'll be back going at it again. Again, we took a little pause over the New Year's, but we're gonna be back at it. So we apologize, but thank you for sticking with us. Hopefully, make sure you subscribe, help us grow, and we'll continue to keep putting out content for you. And because we love doing this, so thank you, everybody. Again, catch us on YouTube, subscribe, Spotify, Apple, all the big podcast networks. So, thanks again, Pete. Love your list, and with that is a cut. Thanks, guys.